and fight parole revocations. We protect those who have fallen short of perfection from the wrath of those who believe they have attained it. For more information about Gary Cohen and his associates, Alan Bennett and Gene Anthis, you can find it at the website, parolelaw.com. You may also contact them at 512 476 6201.
Hi, this is Steve Gallington of the People's News, and you're listening to KPFT Houston.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the world. And good morning to every corner, every crony, everywhere that our 100,000 watt transmitter is putting out the signal, and of course, worldwide, our internet, from which we get quite a bit of people coming in from all over the world. Good morning to our geniuses in the studio. How is El Senor Howard and Jack doing this morning?
Well, we are upright so far. There is a vast tendency to lean over to one side. I'm actually leaning on Jack's shoulders, trying to stay awake here.
I
But
hear
we're
you.
doing okay. Gonna say good morning to Harry. That was Chris Bodie and
Indian Summer.
Drive Time. Indian Summer, yeah.
Yeah.
Indian Summer from Chris Bodie for Harry this morning. Harry's gonna be very happy about that. He called me the other day. He says, "I just love it when you say my name on the radio." So we can do that. Thank you, Harry.
Harry.
Yay, Harry. We're doing okay. Just another fine day. I was curious and musing about the fact that the Republicans are now attacking Taylor Swift.
Oh
I mean,
boy.
how low are these guys going to go? I mean, seriously, is there a bottom to the Republican Party? Jack was saying they've been scraping the bottom for quite some time now. And I'm just wondering where that bottom is. I mean, holy
Yeah.
cow. Taylor Swift, America's sweetheart. Everybody loves Taylor Swift. I mean, I love Taylor Swift. She's a cute little girl, sings good. But for heaven's sakes, the Republican Party attacking Taylor Swift, it's almost comical if it wasn't so tragic.
She's
I mean,
having
come on,
fun.
Republican
She's having
Party.
fun with it. She's having
Oh,
fun with it.
sure. Why not? These are a bunch of idiots. I mean, they're desperate. The Republican Party is desperate, or they wouldn't be following this despot. So anyway, that's my thought for the day. I think Jack has a page of wisdom for us.
Yeah, it's about the media, pretty much.
Oh no.
Media speaketh with corporate tongue. That's why KPFT is so important. We
Hmm.
do not accept corporate money. We do not accept a corporate buy-in to our free speech radio. We are free to debunk the outright lies and misleading narratives the right-wing media machine spews out daily.
Rats.
Grinches. How many media sources does the right control? Deregulation of the broadcast media has allowed the corporate to own at least 90% of all broadcast. Just because they are the loudest, most watched, and most heard voice doesn't mean they're telling the truth.
Amen, brother Jack.
Get
You
on the
nailed it.
band. Get on the bandwagon.
All right, let's give Egberto back his show.
Oh, well, thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly. We are going to have a great show of which I was just returned to by the one and only Howard. Look, folks, today's topic is Mustafaa Carroll on the Israel-Hamas war. I had to do it because, Mustafa was a mainstay here in Houston. He was the executive director of CAIR, and I went to a memorial this weekend for our great David Atwood and his wife Priscilla. They both departed us this year, and just had to go out there, and I saw him there, and and he saw me, and I know when he looked at me, he's like, "Oh, I guess there it goes. I got to give an interview." So I'm like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I want to get your point of view on what's going on with Israel Hamas war, to which he said after the program, I'm much obliged to do it. But since it's about a 19-minute interview, but I see that I have a call, so I'm going to wait to take the call first, and then I'll go right into the interview. So let's wait for that for Jack to tell me who I'm going to be speaking to, and then we'll get
Ladies and
into
gentlemen, pardon this interruption. It is the mayor of politics done right on line one.
and he called first thing, first thing. Brother Johnny, come on in, Mayor.
Brother Egberto, Magic Jack, and Captain Reynolds rap, and Harry Carey.
I love it.
Listen,
Talk to me.
Yeah, Magic Jack talked about media, and Captain Reynolds rap asks, how low can the Republicans go? How low? Well, guess what? There's a new low, and they've got NPR helping them. This morning, when I woke up, I heard a news story about electoral politics and the primaries in Nevada and such, and without without any hesitation, and if I was watching them on a TV screen, I would swear that they were saying it with a straight face. They brought up the fact that there's a no labels alternative for people who can't stand the same two old white people again. But they gave no context. Of course, they didn't tell their listeners that no labels is just another front of the Republican Party, of the conservatives, of the oligarchic class. No, they just said it as if it's an alternative, something that's legitimate for people to look into. They didn't say about Joe Manchin. They didn't talk about the guy who helped co-found this outfit. None of that. No context. So here's a phone number for the local NPR, 713-743-8483, 743-8483, 713 area code 743-8483, and you leave your voicemail message on there and let them know that you are not happy with the journalistic malpractice of not informing their listeners. They are doing the work of the oligarchs, of the Republicans. That's all I have to say.
Well, Johnny, don't leave yet. Let me just tell you this, all right? I have given up entirely. I mean, when I say given up, I mean as far as giving anything context from the mainstream media. Look, I use the mainstream media because the mainstream media has the funding to tell the stories. And what a lot of times you'll see me do is take the clip from the mainstream media and add the progressive context to it. Sometimes it's in line with what was said. Many times it's in addition to, and quite a few times it is, are you crazy? But here's the thing. That is why, and we are starting our fund drive this week, I believe, sometime. I got to check exactly which date it is. But that is why, and I'm using the opportunity you gave us here, talking about what NPR does or did, which in effect is what all media does. I mean, the people who even run the NPRs, right, are people who enjoy rubbing shoulders with the quote unquote fat cats. They're the donors. You take a look at the list of people that give to NPR, etc. And in effect, they are becoming sort of a mainstream. Look, when the Powell memo came out, one of the things was that you had to infiltrate the fourth estate. You had to infiltrate the media because that's how you programmed people. I got yesterday, Johnny. I don't know if you listened yesterday. I think you did. I think you called in. And when I started speaking about billionaires not earning what they got, and I really meant it, right? But we are so programmed, not only from our schools but even the media, that folks like Elon Musk are billionaires because they add so much to society. They had so much intellect, right? And I wrote a blog for the piece that I played. Actually, it was generated from a caller. We have the best callers and smartest callers. Whether they left or right, they give us something to think about, right? So I use a piece that was provided by, I think it was a guy named Cesar. I think it was Cesar who gave that. And I went and I posted it on Daily Coast, the clip as well as the information that I posted on Daily Coast. Actually, it wasn't Cesar, it was Brad. That's who it was for this clip that I posted. And he just couldn't understand that I had a beef with every billionaire, right? Because, like I said, nobody has earned $1 billion. And I stand by that. And I'd like anyone to call and let's have a civil discussion about that, right? And I got the best response at Daily Kos. And one of the guys said, how can we really think somebody has earned it? They're running 3 companies, spend their time on Twitter tweeting and just creating havoc. There's only 24 hours in a day. And if you're doing all these things, it means the things that your company is doing or your companies are doing to move forward maybe doesn't have a lot to do with you. And I didn't say it as eloquently as was said with the person at Daily Kos. I didn't say it as eloquently, but that is the idea. Um, we have to, from the time we were born in this country, we had the false belief that those who somehow was able to get capital and expand on it somehow are deserving of all the capital of that expansion. I want to use because on my show yesterday in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, I actually used Taylor Swift. And look, I love Taylor Swift, love her music, love what she does, etc. Not only that, she's kind, she gives away a whole lot of money and all of that. She's a great person who lives within our society through the rules of our society. She's doing everything right. That's who Taylor Swift is, a nice person doing all of that. And I could go after a few billionaires that they're doing things right. They're giving away a lot of what they've made, etc. And that's great. That's honorable. But the question is, and I've tried to postulate this, and I sometimes I don't get across the right way in saying it. And that is, but but she is the face, and I'm using her because we all like her. She is, or most of us like her. She is the face of what I call a defect within the economic system. And here it goes. She is as talented as anybody else. She's very talented. And not only that, talent does not only come from having a beautiful voice. Talent comes also from being able to engage people and get people to come and see what you have to offer, etc. So she's talented. But and by the way, she gets paid from all the people that come see her. She get paid from the residuals of the copyrights for all that she's done. And by the way, a lot of people have ripped her off, including for her old albums, etc. But she gets all that. She gets all that royalty, etc. Great. She's playing by the rules, and she constantly gets paid and paid and paid, even as her royal or her songs are playing. Even if we play a song here at at KPFT, that is of Taylor Swift, she gets a few pennies every time we play the song. That's great. um you know who doesn't get a penny when we play Taylor Swift song? Howard, Jack, me, Johnny, right? Taylor has done nothing wrong. Okay, Taylor has done nothing wrong. I am trying to show the defect in the economic system. You know who else doesn't get a penny every time Taylor Swift makes a few pennies on a song being played? The different engineers that got paid once in that development of her product. You know who doesn't get any additional money as she continues to accumulate? those beautiful shows that she present that uses pyrotechnics and smoke and her flying in the air down cables and all these things, all those people that participated in creating that persona, the totality that is that woman, Taylor Swift, a nice person, they get nothing. They get paid once.
You're saying it
Um,
takes a village, but you're
go
saying it
ahead.
takes a village, but our
Yeah,
economic
Johnny, come on in.
system.
Come, tell me what you want to say because I went down a long monologue. So go ahead.
You're saying that it takes a village, but our economic system doesn't reflect that philosophy or that
Ex-
reality, I should say.
Brother, you said it better than I said it in one sentence. Exactly.
Well,
And that is what we have. We don't learn that in school. You know what term we learn a lot, Johnny? Rugged individualism. And the reason we learn that term, rugged individualism, and we think we are individuals, is because we know how to forget about all the pegs in the ladder that we had to climb. We forget, and so what I told Brad that day that he called in and he used the Brett Favre, not Brett Favre, but the Tony Brady as somebody who whichever team he goes to wins. I say yes, he's way above average than everybody else, but not because he's way above average mean he has earned all the spoils. Because Tim Brady couldn't throw a ball if his defensive line wasn't there to protect him, to give him time to have his excellence be realized. And so we have to understand more within us the collective nature of our existence. I could not have been an engineer had Brad, who called to complain, had he not paid his taxes to create the schools that I was able to leave Panama and come to the University of Texas and get. So I have a note to this guy that called and screamed down my throat. I thanked him because we have to look. We learned this false thing called rugged individualism, and the media, as Jack was pointing out, is there to kind of say, "Hey, you are an individual. The government gonna take all that taxes from you, man." You know, rugged individualism, rugged individualism. No, all of us built our success. Look, I am not trying to take away that person who wants to work 24/7. Hey, look, for what I do, I work 24/7. If you take a look at the things that I do with right the videos, cutting this and yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot, brother Howard in that room, he goes out and he does his work at KPFT, go out there and do videos and do other things. Jack comes in every single morning out of the kindness of his heart to get this stuff on air. Is that any less than somebody doing similar work, but actually with their rugged individualism making millions? Look, all I'm asking folks to do is look at things objectively and not what we were told and not what they inferred that we should think, because it's so important. Johnny is back, I see. So let's see what else Johnny wants to add before I get to the video.
Okay, apologize for that failed connection on my Magic Stack line went out, so I'm calling you on the other phone, on the so-called smartphone. Let's see how smart this thing is. So, not to be totally negative on NPR, because ironically, they do a lot of great reporting on lots of other stuff.
Yes.
It's just that they have a moral obligation. They have a moral obligation, especially right now, to report full context on each and every story all the time. And when you purposefully do the work of the oligarchic powers that be, you're not serving your leader, your listeners anymore. You're committing journalistic malpractice. So I always tell them, you guys should live up to the standards of your black programming, like ICU, hosted by Eddie. Oh no, my mind is blanking. Excellent host, by the way. You know what I'm talking about. Excellent stories, excellent interviews. That's the kind of journalism that they need to aspire to, instead of being lazy, white centric. That's what they need to do.
From
So,
your tongue to America's ears.
that's right.
Thank you.
I don't want to water. And by the way, including Brian, I would like Brian to apply his intellect to calling into account NPR. That would be he would be a great ally to have for that, because we need people on the right who have a brain to challenge the so-called left-wing media like NPR and MSNBC. That's what we really need, is challenge.
Thank you, Johnny. There's no left-wing media. Let me just say that there's no the only left-wing media you have is what we try to do here. So
No,
there's no left-wing media.
I said so-called left-wing media.
Right. Thank you, Johnny. Let me get to Harry before I get to the video, but I do want to get Mustafaa on air in a little bit. Come on in, Harry.
Oh, good morning, Al, Professor Roberto Willis. Thank you for your enlightening comments as usual. And thank you, Mayor of Politics Done Right, for your enlightening comments as well. You guys really make this show go. And good morning to Howard and Jack. And I was going to mention something about Chris Botti. Yeah, Chris Botti, I read something up on him. He was inspired by the great Miles Davis. Miles Davis is the one that inspired him to play the trumpet that he plays so well. But anyway, what I wanted to was wondering, I know you're going to do this piece on the video with Israel. What's the guy's name?
Mustafaa Carroll.
Mustafaa Carroll. And what's the when Johnny gave that phone number about the media? Because I put that phone number in my phone, but I want to put the title. Who was he referring to call?
That is NPR, the National Public Radio.
Okay, NPR.
That's the number here in Houston. Yes.
Yeah, I listened to that, and as I was telling you yesterday about that economist that I listened to last week, when you talked about that with the corporations and the economy, and Trump trying to take credit for Joe Biden's economy, and thinking that the only reason Joe Biden's economy is doing well is because of what he did, which we know it's false. But
right.
No, that show, I remember you saying yesterday you were going to try to do. Maybe you're probably not going to have time to do it on today's show, but what Brian talked about with the homes. Now he didn't call in early like you asked him to do,
right?
And you wanted to do a show on that, and you wanted people's comments, and I was just wondering when you plan on doing that.
Okay, you know what I'll do? The piece is 19 minutes long. Let me take Lynette is following you. Let me take Lynette call, and then if depending on how long the calls last. Under the worst case, I'll just postpone the video depending on what people ask. So we'll see. This show belongs to y'all, so we'll see what happens. But I'll try to get that in, okay?
Okay. And I wanted to, one more thing. When you're able to do it and work it out, because I am still worried about Trump becoming the nominee, and because, as you heard, I'm sure last week, they're delaying that Trump trial until the Supreme Court makes a decision with the ballots. Yeah. And then the judge is, the ballot, and then the judge is going to reschedule the case, and so I'm worried about that. And
let me say, Jack, don't be worried. Look, let's make the assumption that there will be no trial before the election. We have to go out there. You have to go out there and beat Trump based on values. So, yeah,
I want you to play the Mitt Romney video from 2016.
I will. Harry, I promise you I will, but I need to get to Lynette, my brother. Thank you, my man.
Everyone else.
Thank you, sir. Let's go to Lynette. Come on in, Lynette.
Just wanted to say, let me tell the brother, don't be worried, as long as we all do what we can to make things equitable. A couple of points I wanted to make is that a lot of people, like if the government is promoting all these small businesses, like a lot of people think they can be like Bill Gates and his friends, right? Create all of this space for their small business. But then if there's no access, no opportunity, there's not a need for the product and people have money to pay the product, they're not going to be as successful as Bill Gates unless somebody give them the opportunity to be as successful. The other point I wanted to say is that the guy that called the other day, and I know you were going to do the follow-up show, and he was talking about what he heard about Acres Homes and all these other communities. When people released Black folk from slavery, they didn't give them a place to go. It's like, you're free, you can go wherever. Okay, so, and this is just my concept. So you release people from slavery, you didn't give them any access, any opportunity, any land, you burned down all of their whatever, the things that they did have, but you just let them go. It's like letting sheep out of the gate. And so I think people don't understand like the beginnings of this. And so then you have people that think that Black people are lazy, they're this, they're not that. But if they don't have, back to, again, access opportunity. If you don't have access opportunity, then if things are not equitable, let me just say. So I appreciate that you, Jack, and Howard, do what you do. People need to hear what you have to say. I'm sorry, Howard. Yeah, so thank you, Howard. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Alberto. I'm always rushing because, that's what women, mothers have to do is like help the kids out the door in the morning. But anyway, you all have a day. Thank you. And then one more thing. Can you like give us a name of the jazz that you all played on Monday because we loved it, and they didn't give a name of it or we either missed it.
Well, I'll ask Jack. You heard the request. Jack, you heard the request. Lynette, thank you so kindly
Yes,
for calling in, and we love having your voice here. Okay.
You all have a great day.
You too, ma'am. And anyway, folks, thank you, Lynette. Love to hear that positive affirmation. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and get the video started, and then we'll move on from there. Let's see. Click on that, and there we go.
Mustafaa Carroll, former head of CAIR, but I know he got reabsorbed into it again. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you, Mustafaa.
Okay, a little bit about me. Born and raised in Gary, Indiana. Come from a family of 4 boys. My father was a steel worker. My mother was a nurse. Left Gary after high school, attended Indiana University where I did my undergraduate work in biology and psychology. Met my wife there. Got married in Indiana over 40 years ago. Had 2 kids in Indiana. Then we moved to Texas where I was working in healthcare. I was at Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center. I was a director of apheresis on mobiles. Got recruited to work in Dallas. Worked in Dallas for like 17 years. And then got recruited to come back to Houston. And that's when you probably saw me.
That's when I met you. And ironically, we always talk about 6 degrees of separation. It turns out that the woman that you're married to is from the same country of my origin, Panama. It's amazing. Sabroso. There you go. But
I love it too.
I know, and you love all the good food. Lucky you.
And best food.
Yes, but here, look, you are the former head of CAIR in Houston. Yeah, what is CAIR?
CAIR is the largest Muslim civil rights organization in the country. We protect civil rights for Muslims. We're advocates. We not only engage with Muslims, but we actually, this event here reminds me that we did a lot of immigration work, a lot of social justice, a lot of criminal justice reform. We've been involved in almost every aspect of social justice you can think about. But we're primarily, our goal is to serve as a civil rights advocate for Muslims. And we help them, and we want people to understand the Muslim community. So we help to bridge understanding between communities and with communities.
Now, you moved to Dallas a few years ago,
right?
And you claimed that you were going to be a retired person. Yep. Turns out it's not quite that way. What has happened?
I moved to Dallas, and people said, "Well, are you going to work with CAIR?" And I said, "No, I'm retired." The very next day, they asked me to be a consultant, which was lightweight. It wasn't too big. And so I did that for maybe a year. and this recently, in November 1st, I got commandeered to help them. The former executive director there left, and they asked me to help them reboot CAIR DFW. So I'm back with CAIR. It's like being in the mafia.
Well, I tell you, they keep dragging me in. Yeah, Al Pacino, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
but anyway, the reason I wanted to talk to you is what's occurring right now in the Middle East, specifically Israel and Gaza. And before we get into it, I want to make a subject to the people that are listening. Being anti what's going on has nothing to do with anti-Semitism, and you should not allow anybody to shut you up when you're attempting to just talk humanity.
Yes.
Let's remember that. Anyway, I want to hear what your thoughts are on what's occurring in Israel right now.
Absolutely. Well, most of the people here, the way it's been framed forever, and it didn't just start October 7th, but the frame is that Israel has the right to defend itself. That's not arguable. Anybody can say that. But unless you understand the history of what's happened in Palestine for the last 75 years, it's been to oust the Palestinians from their homes. You have a lot of human rights abuses that have been going on way before October 7th. And then October 7th, and Hamas attacked Israel, and Israel's response has been well over the top. I mean, it's not even an appropriate response, and people don't know that it is an occupier, one of the worst occupations that we've seen in modern history. That there are over 300 and something checkpoints, that you have children being put in prisons, and now we're seeing what appears to be the genocide in our own time.
Actually, by definition, I mean, it's not arguable. I mean, some people would like to make it an arguable position. It's not an arguable position.
Yeah, it is
by definition, that is what we're having. By definition, Gaza and the West Bank are apartheid territories.
Absolutely. You don't, and people ask me, they say, well, because there's similarities between the civil rights period,
right,
the Jim Crow South and that. But when I examine it, it's even worse than what happened in if you want to say that, because in Jim Crow South, we could drive where we wanted to drive.
Right.
We didn't have places that I couldn't drive, not by law. We didn't have 1,000-mile, 26-foot high wall that was like is the largest open air prison. We didn't have our children people were getting shot and killed, but now we see it wholesale. We didn't see them putting the level. It's the level of things that we're seeing now in Gaza is just...
Well, our laws had the semblance of equality. The laws did, if it weren't for the people, but the laws had a semblance. It wasn't real.
Not great, but it had a semblance.
It's a semblance of it.
No,
now, there's not even a
equality.
semblance.
There's
right.
no equality. They can't vote. They're second class or third class citizens at best. And I don't know why people are confused when they understand what's going on.
Well, I mean, and that's where CAIR and a lot of other organizations should come in my humble opinion, in that most people are good people. Most Americans are good people. The problem is most people are also ignorant.
Absolutely.
They don't understand the genesis of places. They don't understand the genesis of conflicts.
Absolutely.
What should we do? Because like I said, one of the things that I tell people now more, and it's necessary, is do not allow anybody, any identity to co-opt a word.
Yes.
What happened in Germany was a genocide. It was a Holocaust. It was horrendous.
Absolutely.
And there's no doubt that, but what the current Israeli government and previous Israeli governments are doing in Gaza and the West Bank and in Israel proper,
it's outrageous. And what is worse about it, one of the things that really hits home for me and has for a long time is like we're giving $3.8 billion a year to a country that doesn't need that support. We're giving them all the state-of-the-art weapons. So most of the common folks, when they hear that the way that it's been framed, they think that this is a war of equals. So
right.
to speak. It's not even a war. It's a rout.
Right.
It's not a war. You got group got homemade rockets and
made of pipes
and stuff like that, and the other group has everything that we have.
2,000-pound bombs.
2,000-pound bomb. More bombs being dropped in Gaza now than what was dropped any other place for over a period of years. We're dropping on a place the size of New Jersey.
We have to start trying to have folks recognize what humanity is all about again, because I think what happened is when you dehumanize a group, when you oppress that group or apply violence to that group, nobody sees it for what it really is. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we have to learn.
And one of the things about oppressed peoples is that other folks, I don't know why, but they tend to wonder, can't believe the response. I mean, I remember during the civil rights moment, there was just a period there was a time. They should have known that there was going to be a time that their people were going to resort to violence. I don't know why that's surprising.
Well, that's the reason Martin Luther King was successful to some extent, right?
Yeah.
The fear that eventually the sleeping dog's going to wake up.
Yep, and the sleeping dogs woke up.
Because let's look at our founding fathers, right?
Yeah.
Aren't the founding fathers were sleeping dogs that woke up and effected, well, in today's world, would the founding fathers be called terrorists?
Yep, they would be called terrorists, and they were called all kinds of things back then. But they would definitely be called terrorists. They would be called insurrectionists because they went against
the current government, right?
And you remember they had famous sayings like "Give me liberty" or "Give me
or
death."
"Give me death," yeah.
And the Boston Tea Party,
right,
was to protest no taxation without representation. All those things now, historically, people look at and say, "Oh my God, that was so heroic." But it wasn't heroic to the British.
Right.
It was an insurrection to the British. It was going against the government. You know, those things that we look at now in a different way.
So let me ask you, what should we, Mustafaa, be doing? First of all, to educate the people in America to the truth, not the narrative, to the truth. And why this is also a danger for us. You know, we look at it as, well, we are bigger, we are more powerful, but this is actually a danger to every single American citizen, what we are allowing to occur in Gaza and the West Bank.
I was on a program back in the end of November called Beyond Gaza, meaning what are we going to do next? What's going to happen after this? And for our country, look, we are no longer, we have no longer, and I told them, they asked me, what about our moral compass? I said, we don't have one. We don't have a moral compass. We're losing our standing in the world. People are seeing this, and this is emboldening other groups to do what we're doing. We're leaders in the world. So when they see that the most powerful country in the world has no moral compass, then what does that say to the rest of the world? That means that whatever they do, the thing that we were upset about the Russians invading Ukraine, at the very same time that we said that, this thing with Gaza has been going on for centuries, for decades. Been going on for decades with our blessing that we are complicit in the murder of over almost close to 30,000 folks. Wantonly, we are complicit. We can no longer say that we are the democratic, the moral leader of the world. We're not. We haven't been for a good while. And so what we have to do as a community, and this is a long distance race, this is not a sprint. What we have to do is consistently educate people as to what is really happening, despite the fact that you're going to be called anti-Semitic, that you're going to be called enemies of the state of Israel, and all this other garbage that we hear. That we're not enemies. I speak the truth.
Now, let me just tell you that all this info that we talk about, when we talk these issues, I make sure that this is sanctioned by my Jewish friends.
Right.
I have a lot of Jewish friends that I pass a lot of my wordiology by to ensure that we are in fact saying things correctly. And the vast majority of my Jewish friends have told me, Egberto, what you're doing by trying to spread the truth to the American population, there's nothing anti-Semitic about it. We cannot allow others to make one believe that speaking up against a right-wing evil Israeli government is somehow anti-Semitic. It is not.
Absolutely. And the narrative now is that they've conflated it.
Right.
They've conflated anti-Semitism to be anybody who speaks against the state of Israel.
Right.
And you know, Jewish Voice of Peace was outlawed, and several other Jewish organizations internally, their own people.
Right.
And let me say this: there are lots and lots of Jewish folks who disagree with what's going on.
It's actually a plurality.
A large majority. I don't know if it's a majority, but it's a large group of Jewish folks who disagree with what's going on humanitarian basis.
It is amazing. There are many coming out and said, oh my God, we were indoctrinated.
Yes.
That's what they've said. They've said that their leaders have indoctrinated them. Absolutely. And no more. They're the biggest risk to the Jewish people is the current Jewish Israeli government.
Absolutely. And it's been going on. The sad thing is, if there's a silver lining behind all this, it's that now the whole world is seeing it. The downside to the silver lining is, look at the price that's being paid.
28,000 and counting.
And counting. Now, look at what's happening at home. We have around 3,600 cases, civil rights cases in the last 3 months. We have that many cases because this stuff is getting back home. So people on their jobs are being discriminated against if they say ceasefire, if they say free Palestine, and God forbid that they should say from the river to the sea. I didn't know that had any meaning except free the people in Palestine.
But it's deeper than that, because it turns out that the Likud party, that's in their platform. From the river to the sea. In other words, if they believe that phrase really means extermination,
yes,
that means that's what they stand for.
That's what they think it means for them. When you say Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, in their opinion, that means you want to see the state of Israel.
Well, I think people should be educated to understand that from the river to the sea, actually for most Palestinians, actually mean we don't want to be removed from our lands no matter where it is, and we don't want others, meaning the Israelis who've been in that land, or I should say the Hebrews who've been in that land. That's fine as well.
But now the injustice of all of this, they can't return. The Palestinians can't return, and this is not just Muslims. This is some of the earlier opponents of the state of Israel were Palestinian Christians.
Right.
And those folks cannot return. They're having their homes demolished. Those that aren't demolished, they're confiscating lands, giving it to settlers, people who've never been there before, people coming from New York and Jersey and other places in the world, that they're just, and you got to look at this and understand that there's no intention, in my humble opinion, that the state of Israel wants to see any peace at all. What I see happening is this is the biggest land grab in modern history. You know, and as I was telling people before, there's absolutely nothing that they're doing in the state of Israel that we didn't do here first.
Exactly.
If you look at our pedigree, what happened in this country, we killed we tried to annihilate all the indigenous people. We took the land, we murdered them, we marched them from Alabama to Oklahoma.
The Trail of Tears. Again, when you talk about moral compass, you said we're losing our moral compass. The question is, when did we have a moral compass? We can say we have a moral compass. The moral compass are the individual people in America who have always tried to do good.
That's it.
The plutocracy in this country has never had a moral compass, and the government was always an ear to a frame of the plutocracy.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we got to close out here. So give me a quick closer.
Give you a quick. I am begging folks to learn as much as you can on both sides of this issue, especially on the Palestinian side, because it hasn't been talked about in the public square. We've only heard one side of it, and the other side, that side has done a magnificent job of shutting down any information on the Palestinian side. And those folks have suffered for over 75 years, the 50-year 15-year, I think, blockade of Gaza, no medical support. I just saw a documentary showing the challenges that they have to go through medically. Before October 7th, they had no power, no water, all these things are happening, and now it's what I call white supremacy on steroids. It's white supremacy on steroids. Everything that's happening there has happened here, but now it's happening on steroids there. And we have to pray for everyone.
Mustafaa Carroll, thank you so kindly for your frank conversation.
That was Mustafaa. You know, everywhere I go, if I see somebody that has something to say, I want to do that interview. Well, before we go to Brian, let's throw it to Brother Howard. Howard, talk to me.
Well, you're coming in just a little bit low. You might want to adjust your microphone.
Okay.
He nailed it right on the head. Anytime you criticize Israel, it's anti-Semitism. Oh my God, anti-Semitism. And have you seen those TV commercials they're running now about anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Who does that?
Look,
I mean,
it's mind control, Howard. It is about telling you what to think. And that is what we have to teach Americans to not allow themselves to fall for.
Oh, I'm beside myself on that one. I look at it and go, anti-Semitism? Seriously? Anytime you criticize someone who's committing genocide, suddenly it's anti-Semitism? No.
Yeah.
No, and a lot of Jewish people here in the United States are totally disagreeing with all this. They're going, no, this is not what we're about. And it's true, they're not.
You know what's so funny, Howard? You remember Jack hijacked our show again and it got me into a soliloquy about the media. But if you take a look at the amount of Jewish organizations that are stepping up to really fight against Netanyahu, there are a lot of them, a lot of people, most of the younger folks. But guess where you don't see that? On TV. You never see these activities on TV. So our older, great Jewish folks around Houston, they don't have the narrative that these other people have. So they still live within a lot of that indoctrination that's been given over the decades, right? The younger people that are coming up now are saying, wow, we didn't know this. And they're fighting back. I'm talking about our young Jewish brothers and sisters, But anyway.
And they should.
Exactly.
He was talking about it being the biggest land grab in history, and it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they're running these people off. Sure, what happened in October was really bad, but is your response to it to completely wipe out the whole place? No, that's not what you do. And plus, when we're standing there giving them bombs and stuff and all the money we give them, that's just insane.
It makes us complicit. It makes us complicit.
It's just insane to me. How can you do this? It
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
not
Okay.
at all.
Well, I've hijacked enough of your show, and you only got about, say, 5 minutes left.
Okay, well, Brian is back. He was supposed to call first thing in of the show, but I bet he was sleeping. But let's get Brother Brian onto the line.
Yes, good morning.
You're
First
hot.
off, Palmer. Yeah, first off, Palmer. I never called anyone a libtard. Never have, never will. If you have to go to lies and personal attacks, you already lost your debate. Okay. Second caller, no, there are no Asian companies starting in Acres Homes. I've worked in the 4300 block of Pinemont since 1999, and there's no new businesses going in Acres Homes. Now, I'm talking to a strange black man, never met him before, and he's telling me about how illegal aliens are coming in, building up the land, flooding his neighbors, and building properties. And I ask all your listeners to go through Acres Homes and look at $800,000 acres. That's what they're buying. They're parking dump trucks. They're building $300,000 and $500,000 houses. Where do they get the money? I'm talking about talking to a black man about Guitar Watkins. I never met this man before. He's talking to me, but yet in your eyes, that makes me a racist.
No, no, that's not what makes me a. No, 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 no. I don't look. Please
That's not what
go
makes me a racist.
pull the tape and see what I said. But go ahead, continue, and then I'll respond.
Okay, I go through Acres Homes. I go through TC Jester. That's the only way I can get to Shepherd or 45. All right, where do these people get the money to buy $8 a square foot properties? Where's this money coming from?
All right, let's stop.
And
Let's
you can
that
see different.
when I called you when I said that those are the types of tropes that get people in that would have folks say what I said. Let me stop you for a second. Who are you, or who am I to question where this whoever is moving into that neighborhood got the money to buy that property? Have you asked anybody else where they've gotten the money to buy that property? I don't think so. And when it comes, look, there's an interesting look, I'm a black guy, but one of the thing I'm also is Latino, right? So I cross and Caribbean. I cross a whole lot of ethnicities, if you will. Now that said, right, there is a false friction between the Latino and Black community in Houston by design, and the way you are expressing what
No,
you've
yeah.
said, the way you were. Go ahead, say what you want to say, then I'll finish.
No, I just find that rather comical. It's by
I know.
design.
Yeah, it is by design. Of course, it is by design. All right, because the truth of
You
look,
just said
whenever I asked if you had something to say. I wanted you to say your piece so I could say my piece. We do civil communication, and you have been doing a good job of that thus far. Say what you need to say real quickly.
okay, you're questioning where people get their money from, but yet all the time you're saying corporations are stealing our money.
Because they are,
You,
and I can tell you where they're getting their money from, because
I,
we have the. No, when I say that, again, when you're going to make a comparison, my brother, make a valid comparison. When I say corporations are taking the money, I have the data to back it up. When I said inflation was caused by corporations, I could show how their profit and loss statement proved the point. Okay, there I could look at the amount of money, their raw material costs. I could look at what the increase in profit margin and what the price of the products were that they've sold. I could tell you, yes, they're stealing the American monies blind. You subjectively said, where are those people getting the monies to buy those $8 a square foot, whatever it is that they're buying? And I'm saying, who are you, my brother, to ask that?
you're going to buy an $800,000 property and park a bunch of dump trucks on it. because that's what
not
the black man.
But look, again, here's the thing about it,
Oh,
right? Again, we always assign blame to the wrong place. If that person bought the property and put the dump trucks on there, and if you really want a solution to that problem, go to City Hall and start to institute what's known as zoning. That's not the problem of the person who is following the law. It's the problem of the people who created a no zoning environment, basically so that certain things appear in communities that nobody cares about. Okay, so what I'm saying, Brian, is Brian, I made you talk. Can you let me finish? May I finish, Brian?
Yeah,
Look,
go ahead.
Brian, you are barking up the wrong tree. In other words, if this guy buys land where he can put his dump trucks and all of that in one place and he can get it at an affordable price, that's what he did. If we don't want that in the environment, we go to City Hall and we make sure as a collective that that doesn't happen. But you go ahead and ask many people if they want zoning in their areas, and they'll say, well, Houston is a non-zoning city, and I kind of like that I can have this business right next to my house and all of that. Does that necessarily give some sort of a good-looking community? Not necessarily, right? That's why they have other methods that they use. So I only got 2 minutes, so give me a closing comment. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
sure
to
you have
have
other
this. Wait. I want to have this discussion when we have more time, and you call earlier. Go ahead and make a quick closer.
No, you have other callers. Thanks. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Have a good one, Brian. All right. Look, I think it's important. I mean, we always turn our neck to look at somebody generally in our maybe same. We are always ready to tear down the little person. All of us. I don't care what race you are or whatever. Was he able to do that? How was she able to do that? Whenever we do that, we give the people who are actually pilfering us a pass. We are giving the people who are pilfering us a pass. I don't have much more time to get into this because it's 56, and I got to pass it to Brother Howard and Brother Jack. So, guys, take it.
Well, I was just interested. Maybe we'll turn it over to the vast and unpaid research department about who's putting on those anti-Semitism commercials,
Oh, I
promos,
know
or
who it is.
whatever you want.
APAC.
Who is it?
APAC. I mean, they
Oh,
are,
okay.
are some subsidiary of APAC. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, look, I need to go on a slight tangent here. I started to see commercials on TV just a few days ago with nurse practitioners and all these people saying how great their nurse practitioners are. They love their nurse practitioner. Their nurse practitioner healed them. I love nurse practitioners myself. But the idea was to it was a corporate decision to say we don't want to pay doctors, so we're going to fill up all these emergency places now with nurse practitioners. It's a matter of mind control. But look, I'm out of time. So give me a closer, Jack and Howard.
All right. Well, have a good day.
Media speaketh with corporate tongue.
All right.
Enough.
Anyway, folks, love you, callers, love you, listeners. Thank you very much for being here. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in for